Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Hello and welcome to My Hometown. I'm Bill Horan. We always think of food insecurity issues and how they could affect people like you and me. But our guests today want to remind us that our pets can also suffer with similar issues during times of need. Our guests today are Danielle Scala, the founder, and Linda Guckian, a board member of an organization called Paw It Forward Pet Pantry that assists pet owners that fail on difficult times. Danielle and Linda, welcome to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Ladies,
hi, how are you?
Thanks for being with us today. Now, this is a really interesting idea, and as you said, we simply forget about this. And we think, of course, people need food. We think of other humans, but we forget about our pets. So how did this idea get started?
I started this about 5 years ago with my late husband, who passed during COVID. We started it by giving food down to the hurricanes out of the states and out of the country around 5 years ago. And then we noticed the need that was needed here on Long Island. So we started the pantry to help pet owners and foster-based rescues that don't have a brick and mortar store. So we help the foster-based rescues and the pet owners that need help when they fall on hard times.
And Linda, how did you get interested in this? Were you part of it from the beginning, or did you just say, this is a great idea, I want to join?
Well, believe it or not, several years back, I had run into some hard times, and I had a dog, and Danielle's situation for setting this up was to help people in need, and I became one of those people in need with a pet that I was very worried about not having enough food for. And the group was incredible, helpful, and I was so impressed. And I said, the first thing I can do when I get back on my feet is join the club and help other people the way I felt helped without having any questions, and just really great people around us. That's how I got involved.
One, I thank you for sharing that story. That's very nice of you. And also the act that you're doing, in fact, stretching out and helping these people. I always feel that any of the people we have on, we have amazing guests that are doing good for others, for the pets, for organizations. The actions really do more for themselves, the guests, because it gives them that great feeling. They're reaching out and doing something. They're doing good for the world, in a world where most people just seem to care about themselves, and especially the bigger, the richer the stars. It's buy a $10,000 pocketbook rather than help people who may need food or clothing or shelter. So thank you so much.
So true. Absolutely.
What would you say? How would you describe
it's such a great blessing to have, and like, the name is for Paw It Forward, and I felt that, the least I could do is that and help others, because there's nobody who was out there before her and her groups in this area that I was aware of, and that was so comforting and helpful. So
now, what would you say how would you describe the mission of Paw, and that's PAW, Paw It Forwards?
Yes, Paw It Forward is that we pour forward pet supplies to pet owners that need it, and then in hope that they pour it forward back to us, either by volunteering with us or pouring it forward back to us and helping us with donating back to us.
Now, can you give our audience an idea of the process? How does it work with donations? We hear the word donation, but once we pass that, where do they go with it or forward? Is it stop at their local, so-and-so store or fast food outlet? How does that go about?
People want to donate to us. They could either do it through our Amazon wish list, or they could go to the local pet store or their local business-owned pet stores, like out in Merrick, like Mutts and Butts. They're not a chain. They're a private pet store. So, I like to help the local pet owners, stay in business.
What was the name of that store?
Mutts and Butts.
I love that name. That almost seems something out of a comedy show. Mutts and Butts. Yeah. That's terrific. That's the name of the day.
They're not a chain pet store, so they're a local business owner, and we do events there every season. We go there and we set up outside and do adoption events. We partner up with Fabulous Feline. They're a foster-based cat rescue. So we go and do events at private pet stores. So they could go to pet stores and pick up a bag of food, a can of food, supplies, a toy, a treats, stuff like that. Amazon wish list, so people that don't want to go out and want to just ship stuff to us. that's also how they could donate to us.
I'm just thinking, number one, those are great names, Fabulous Feline and Mutts and Butts, was it? And I can see them across the street from each other competing. Maybe they're not. I'm probably not, but I can see that. And I just think those are ideal. And you've just given them a wealth of free publicity. So they should love you after this. So thank you on many levels. Now, do you also accept donations? Do people come in and simply donate to you? And not only product or maybe additional food, or they bought too much, or their dog or cat doesn't like a certain brand? Or do you also get financial donations?
We get open bags. We'll take open bags expired up to 6 months if pet owners pass away. We have a bin outside my location in Valley Stream where between Monday through Saturday, between 11 and 5, they're welcome to drop off at any time. We take, as I said, opened. If some dog passes, we'll take supplies. And Linda, what else do you think to add to that?
Also, a lot of big companies have turned around, like PetSmart and Petco's. They do also donate stuff to us.
You know, what you're doing is really great, and I'm going to reach out and say to our audience now, if you're listening to the show, maybe just jot this down. The name of the organization is PAW, Paw It Forward Pet Pantry. And maybe your local doctor's office can help out. Maybe your lawyer, your accountant in town. Maybe you have a local office, you're a practitioner, and you do something, a repair filling station, a pizzeria or something. Maybe you can just put one of their boxes in there and make it known to people that they're around. So if they have extra food, because I know that happens. Sometimes my dog sniffs something and it's like, nope, I don't like that. And now you've bought a bag or a box of it or a few containers. And here we could be doing something good and, pass it on to someone else. Is there other information before we get too far into the show that you want to put out to people, either a location or a website where they can get in touch with you?
We're on Facebook, and it's called Paw It Forward Pet Pantry, Long Island, New York. We also have our email address, which is happypawitforward@gmail.com. That's how we like to correspond with everybody. So
happypawitforward@gmail.com, correct? If we get time before the end of the show, we'll ask you that again because people tune in at different times in the show, and it would be great if they could help out. And what a great way. Sometimes it's just extra things they might have around the house, or even letting a few neighbors know. I'm sure if you could spread word like that, it would go out like a funnel, and by the a few days you'd cover the entire earth. But if you can get it out.
And a lot of times when we do events, at the events we have people drop off towels, sheets, stuff that we would need to give to other like shelters and stuff.
Now that was my next question. What's a supply that people wouldn't think you need, but maybe you do? And I think you just mentioned towels. I would never think of that. I'm thinking of pet food, actual bags, etc., pet food or cans. What other things are needed or would be helpful?
Well, people don't realize, but we do need garbage bags at times when we're emptying stuff. We need garbage bags. We need paper towels. We need dog toys. We need treats, cat supplies, cat litter, cat food. Stuff that we don't get a lot is, again, the cat supplies. We're very short on cat supplies.
You were mentioning that to me before the show, and Danielle, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want our audience to hear it, that seemingly, I guess it's weighted more in the dog favorite that products come in rather than cats. So if we have some cat lovers out there or people who have connection with other people who have cats, maybe you can let them know about Paw It Forward Pet Pantry, because it seems cat supplies is what's really needed. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good...
Well, a lot of it, too, is that at this point we seem to have a lot more shortages on the cat supplies, even in the stores. So
really?
The dog supplies are readily more available, and that's what the problem has been. The cat supplies have seemed to short out. Canned food isn't crazy to get. Litter sometimes becomes short, so it's hard to find.
Wow. Again, these are things that as a common citizen, I would never know about. Obviously, I don't have a cat. I have a dog. And if I had both, we would have little battles around the house, I guess. But it's good you put that forward to us, and we know. And what I'm going to say, too, if someone's hearing this, even if you're not involved, you don't have a cat or a dog, you could go simply walk up and down your block. If you have 2 or 3 people who are not aware, neighbors, friends, and you tell them, you being their friend, they'd probably go out of their way to help this organization. You'd be doing a lot of good. It wouldn't cost you anything but a walk down the block on a nice day, or letting a few neighbors or a few relatives who are nearby know, and you could help this organization and do a lot of good for everyone. Folks, before we go forward, I'd like everyone to know that you're listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Bill Horan. Our guests today are Danielle Scala, the founder, and Linda Guckian, a board member of an organization called Paw It Forward Pet Pantry, an organization that assists pet owners when they fall on difficult times. And I think today more than ever, we're all looking at difficult times. And we never know when difficult times could be around the corner. So it might not be today, but it might be tomorrow that you're looking at Paw It Forward and hoping out they can help your pet, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if I'm a pet owner in need and I'm hearing this show, what's the process to ask for help?
All they have to do is email, as I stated, happypourforward@gmail. We have forms we send out allocating if it's a dog or a cat. And we do a public pickup once a month, which is open to them to submit a form. And then we let them know what day and what time. It's usually on a Saturday. And it's usually once a month. We get people to help us at the pantry sort through all the forms. And then we set up where people could come and pick up.
And where would they come and pick up? Is there a reasonably close location?
Well, the pickups are always done at my house, which is the pantry, which is located in Valley Stream.
Okay, so Valley Stream. So that's central to most places on Long Island. And if you can get free pet food, that's a good deal. If you come over there, pick it up, and meet these nice ladies who are doing good for everyone's pets. Is there some way that people have to prove their need? Is there information that they should be prepared to give, or tax forms, or?
No, we don't ask for that. We only allow people to pick up between 2 and 3 times a year, because when they do come, they're getting enough supplies. We don't just give out one bag or one can of food. We give them enough for them to hopefully be able to sustain at least 3 months out of the year, or a while, not 3 months, but enough to help them through their situation.
I'm just thinking, looking at it from another angle as we're talking, you're doing such a good job of promoting it, but someone may know a neighbor down the block, maybe an older neighbor who is, coming on some difficult times, loves their pet, and a pet is very important to older people. It gives them reason to take care of them and companionship, but maybe the financial difficulties are there. You might want to jot this information down and tell that neighbor, this is an organization, you could do something for, or they could help you with a supply of pet food for your cat or dog. And it could be a win-win for both sides. So a lot of our listeners hearing this, I think there's a lot of opportunities, whether it's to help get some income or some money for the organization or help them grow, or if you have someone who needs it, the pet food for their pet, you can make it known to them. Because until I heard of you today, to be honest, I didn't know about your organization, so this is a good publicity device. How often can someone come, or how often do they come? Is it something they come like the last day of every month, or how does that work?
We actually posted on Paw It Forward Pet Pantry, and we also have another group called Long Island Parents of Pets on Facebook. So we always promote when the open pickup is going to be. It's once a month. As I said, it's normally on a Saturday. And as I stated, the same people can only come between 2 to 3 times a year.
Now, is it essentially, when we think of pets, we think of cats and dogs. I mean, that's the way things go. Do you deal with any other pets? And maybe, again, this is probably another surprise to us, because we don't know, if you're not into the pet world, what the most common pets are, or even some of the, gerbils, lizards, etc. I'm sure people have those.
We do help when we can. We do give to rabbit organizations, and we also deal with
reptiles, birds,
guinea pig rescue. We deal with there's a guinea pig rescue that helps us, and also we help them. They're on our Facebook page on Paw It Forward Pet Pantry, and also on Long Island Parents of Pets. We work with them. It's a guinea pig rescue. So we do help others, except we also help with dogs and cats. We help guinea pigs, rabbits, fish. We do get supplies like that in as well.
Can you tell us a couple of stories, or maybe people, without names, obviously, but that either you've helped recently or seen someone where it would resonate with our audience and helping them appreciate just what you're doing for these pet owners?
I've been at most of the public pickups, and I have to say, just overall, you'll see people come. They articulate how grateful they are sometimes I've seen when Danielle's had another pickup a couple times later, somebody will come with a cake they baked or something, and they've said that they literally would have had to make a difficult choice in having to give their pet up. And I think that was part of the thing Rob and Danielle had originally thought to bring this into action, was because the people will have to make choices of giving up their pets, and the shelters having animals that shouldn't be there if people can get help to get them over a hurdle. Because a lot of times people don't fall on hard times forever, thank God. They just go for a little period of time. And that's why Danielle said 2 to 3 times a year, because hopefully after that, there'll be a point where they're back on their feet, and then hopefully become part of the Pour It Forward Pantry.
That's a great story that really resonates and I think touches all our hearts. If you see an older person or a younger person, you don't want anybody to have to give up their pet, no matter what their pet is. We might laugh at an unusual pet, a lizard or a gerbil or something, but dog, cat, whatever. We think more, of course, the dogs and the cats. But to ask someone to give up a pet because, as you said, hopefully it's something temporary or just a monetary issue, and obviously there's immediate medical that people have to take care of for their own family. An organization like yours is so valuable, and there's so much we could do. And I just think that even putting that down on a flyer saying, we don't want Susan and Jack to have to give up their pet, or, obviously using false names, that would resonate with people. It would certainly get to me because, no matter what, we just don't want that. This is, to many people, that's a family
Well, you know
member.
what? They're not just, unfortunately, they're not just pets. People literally thrive because they have these animals. It's to the animals' benefits to be with the humans, but obviously the humans just as much benefit from all these animals out there. And it's heartbreaking to see a senior citizen that might have a cat floating around their house that keeps them company and makes them feel belonging, and that would be taken away. So,
our other shows have actually shown that people who have a pet, it lengthens their life. It gives them more meaning to life. And
Absolutely.
These are psychological studies. You're not promoting it, but I'm telling you, I've seen them in unrelated shows, and it keeps them healthy and obviously saves them in what would be medical costs and cost to society if something happens
Absolutely,
to them.
100%.
Now, I know you help the pet owners, and you also help foster-based resources and outreach programs. Can you explain what that means and how you work with them?
There's outreach programs out in Suffolk that are that help as well pet owners that need food. So I partner up with a lot of, there's out in Suffolk, there's Chippy Angels Rescue. There's a lot of rescues that do it out of their homes, like Long Road Home. So there's a lot of rescues that do it out of their house. So we help the fosters that take on the pet, and we help them with pet food.
You're going to have a high place in heaven, both of you. I mean, what you're telling me, because this is really wonderful. And
I give it all to Danielle because she's amazing.
That's okay, and you and anybody else who even contributes or work, whatever role, obviously you are the leaders. But to do this and to save this for the people, and also to save a pet, because none of us would like to think that because of financial reasons we couldn't keep our pet who we love. It's like getting rid of a child to a lot of people. So number one, I commend you and I thank you. And as I said, I'm sure there's a special place in heaven for the people who do what you do and the organizations who work with you and that you work with. Before we go any further, again, I'd like to let our audience know that if you're just tuning in, you're listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Bill Horan. Our guests today are Danielle Scala, the founder, and Linda Guckian, a board member of an organization called Pour It Forward Pet Pantry. This is an organization that assists pet owners when they fall on difficult times. And again, ladies, before we forget and get too far into the show, if someone is hearing this and wants to contact you, what is the easiest way? Is it a phone number, walk in the door, Facebook?
No, it's Facebook, which is Pour It Forward Pet Pantry, Long Island, New York. And then it's our email, which is happypouritforward@gmail.com.
happypouritforward@gmail.com. Okay. And on the website you gave us, when you said Long Island, New York, is that all spelled out?
No, it's actually Pour It Forward, LINY.
Okay, that's a good thing to remind our folks. And again, we'll try to get that before the end of the show one more time. So if our audience is listening, and I'm sure with the ladies, and I will reach out for them and say, if you don't have time to be involved or you can't, if you want to send a donation, I'm sure they would accept it and they can go out and buy the pet food. But maybe you can even just be a local, I'm going to call it ambassador, walk up and down your block and ask neighbors to contribute maybe one can of pet food that they have extra, or maybe a small bag, you put in one of those lock-safe bags that we use in the freezer, some pet food or something that you would know about, you could tell them better. And maybe even if there's some teachers listening out there, this would be a great project for a school to help out and get people involved in the community. So thanks so much.
Well, it also is in the physical part of it, too. The big thing with the volunteering is there's so many facets to the pantry. We make flyers, we have events where we post. There's correspondence, somebody that needs to send out correspondence. We're having a pickup. Everybody let us know if you're coming. So there's simpler tasks, even picking up one thing at a store. If somebody lets us know that we have a pickup of something available, boxes. So they don't have to be involved all the time. They can just do a one-time deal and help us out that way, and we appreciate anything we can get.
And that would be great. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because sometimes people think, if I stretch out and do this, I'm going to be on a mailing list. I'll be forever. But you're actually telling them you can be a one-time donor or helper. I'm guessing you could do it either weekly, monthly, bi-yearly, however you want, that the people are happy. And
whatever
you're happy.
You have to give, we're grateful for.
You're there for. If you're giving it, they'll take it. That's what I'm hearing. So, and there's probably a lot of things we don't know that you have in the basement that would help out.
Yeah, we definitely need volunteers. That's our biggest thing. We don't have the manpower anymore. We need manpower and vehicles that could actually help us pick up donations to bring back to the pantry. And it's not a long-term commitment. It's, they send us an email. We'll send them a volunteer form. They give us their availability. They're not committing to a weekly or monthly thing. We always need help if it's just behind the scenes with people dealing with emails or answering questions on public forum or directing people on how to do things. I've met a lot of volunteers through the last 2 years since losing my volunteer Mike Field to COVID and losing Rob, my late husband, to COVID in 2020. So in the last 2 years, I've gotten a lot of new volunteers, but we always need help. We always need the manpower. We need the big vehicles that we could send to pick up the stuff, to pick up the donations from our donation locations.
That's another great point. I'm sure there's seniors out there who would love to. I mean, again, they're probably financially strapped, but would love to donate something. And just to be able to drive around their town and maybe do a few pickups for you, 2 or 3 or 5, maybe 10 or 20, whatever it might be, a day, a morning. No, you obviously would know this better, but it would be a way to reach out. It's a way of doing something good and really at minimal cost to the senior or the high school or college student who loves pets and has some free time and wants to do something good to help people. You're really helping one of your neighbors in one form or another, and especially people who might be hitting some tough times. Do you hold or have any fundraisers throughout the year that people should know about?
Well, we just had one, our first block party, because the community where I live in Valley Stream, my whole block loves what we do. We had a block party, so that was our first one this year since we started, and it was a nice one. So we're going to try to do one a year just to keep things moving and going here, just if we needed anything. We don't really take in monetary because we don't really need it. I shouldn't say we don't need it, but it's all donations of supplies, and gift cards are very needed to pet stores and to Amazon. So we're able to buy supplies if somebody has a special request. So right now we're just more donation supplies, gift cards, but fundraisers, we do vendor events more than we do fundraisers, which a vendor event is like we're doing at a tavern, a local tavern in Malvern. We're going to give out our literature and help and give out goodie bags to the dogs. We just did an event in Malvern where we got people to sign up to volunteer, get the word out of who we are, what we do. We don't really do many fundraisers. We do more vendor events and setting up at pet stores, like I mentioned, Mutts and Butts. And we did that.
Street fairs.
Now, let me ask you, if someone wants to give a gift card, and we're maybe just semantics, we're using different words. I'm calling it fund and you're calling it a gift card. But what are the best stores for your operation to give a gift card to and that they could donate to you?
Any pet store or Amazon.
Or Amazon. Okay. So if they want to do that, they could go to their local, I'm going to say Petco or what pet supply store, get that and give it to you, and you guys could use it or give it to that senior
Absolutely.
to buy whatever pet supplies are necessary.
Absolutely. Like if we don't have it and somebody needs it, we could always give them the gift card.
Again, I'm going to do a little commercial for you. And this is not anything you asked me to do, but your work, what you're doing is so good that if anyone is out there and they're looking for a Boy Scout, Girl Scout project or a project for a religious club or an organization, what a great way to teach your children about helping others, to go out and even helping raising money, whether collecting bottles, running a garage sale, something like this, and donating it to this organization. I'm sure these ladies could spread it around. They know the right people who would need it. And it's a win-win for everybody because I think everybody wants to help out their neighbor. Sometimes they just don't know how to do it. And you don't want to be embarrassed and say, do you need a $10 bill or a $50, whatever you might want to give. But you can do it through this organization, and you're also making it known to others in the neighborhood who might not want to say they need some help, but you're there to give it to them. And obviously you're doing great work with the pets and the dogs and cats and gerbils in the neighborhood. So I think you can have a lot of fun with that. What's the one thing before we wrap up you want people to know about the organization and message you want to leave with them?
Well, I also want to let them know that we do community hours because we get volunteers through the local school. So we're able to write off community hours for the kids that need it for their schools, their religion, their even people that need it for their own personal community hours if for any reason they have community hours.
So community service events, right. That's another great point. Thank you. Now, ladies, again, once before we start to wrap up, please tell us that contact information where we can get in touch with you.
Okay, so it's Pour It Forward Pet Pantry, LI, New York on Facebook. And also emailing is the best tool at happypouritforward@gmail.com. Those are the best ways. And we also have another group called Long Island Parents of Pets on Facebook. Those are our two major groups. We have over 4,000 members of Pour It Forward Pet Pantry, and we have 11,000 members of Long Island Long Island Parents of Pets. We have about 11,000 members. Those are our two sites that on Facebook that we use.
And again, the organization itself, if you want to write this down to our audience, P-A-W, It Forward Pet Pantry. Thank you so much, ladies, for being with us today. We want to thank our guest, Danielle Scala, the founder, and Linda Guckian, a board member of Pour It Forward Pet Pantry. We appreciate you taking time to be with us today.
Thank you for having us. And one last thing, just to let you know also, the shirts that we're wearing, and we also have hooded sweatshirts, and we're adding pet bandanas, can also be bought on the webpage, and that money goes towards the pantry.
Those are cool shirts, so I think you're going to get a lot of people coming in for that. So thank you for making that point. I'd like our audience to know that I'm Bill Horan. You've been listening to this week's special edition of My Hometown.
We like to get your feedback on My Hometown. Send your comments to WHPC@ncc.edu. Nassau Community College, where success starts and continues. Till next time, this is Bill St. James. And remember, there's no town like your hometown.